Hey, True Believers. Chris Mack coming at you with Transformers and the G.I. Joe #1 of 4. Now, when I first read this book, I was kind of it's alright. But now that I've had a chance to go back and reread it after, setting it aside for a while, this was a really interesting read. I really thoroughly enjoyed it. Now, especially, since I've had a little bit of time to kind of step away from it and then reread it and start to see kind of the subtext that's going on within the story in terms of like politics. I know that sounds boring. You're like, oh no, politics. But it's done in a tasteful way. So let's go ahead and get this thing open. And I like the stakes that are on the opening page. You're just like, my God, what is going on? So this is called Blood on the Tracks. And the people responsible for this book is Michael Higgins, writer, Herb Trimpe, artist, Vince Colletta, inker, Joe Rosen, letterer, Neil Yomtov, colorist, Bob Harris and Don Daly were the editors, and Jim Shooter, editor-in-chief. Now, just as a little fun note, if you guys want to see some interesting backstory on Vince Colletta, go check out Comic Tropes' YouTube channel. He does a really in-depth analysis of his inking styles, and it's just really fascinating on how he was, his fan base was torn. So anyway, I'm not going to get into the full thing, but definitely check it out. Now, right off the bat, when I was talking about, this is Fort Lewis, and we see the Joes coming into this military base, and we see all of these protesters, and they're saying, stop the insanity. Didn't Chernobyl teach you a lesson? No more nukes. Remember TMI, I'm sorry. Now, just real quick before I get into this, make sure you pay attention to these two characters because they keep reappearing. So just kind of keep the shirt colors. It kind of helps you in terms of that. Now, also, what I want to point out here is this book, the print date on it is January 1987. So this was during like the height of the Cold War. Now, didn't Chernobyl teach you a lesson? The Chernobyl accident happened in April of 1986 in Russia, where it basically destroyed a whole town, and you still to this day cannot go there unless there's certain seasons, and you still have to wear a mask. TMI, I don't remember where this happened, but it was another reactor accident that happened in April of '86. Let me see if I can remember right off the top of my head. Nope, not off the top of my head. But if you guys want to know more, those are two real nuclear accidents that are really interesting. So again, they actually bring some real world politics into it, but not enough that it over dominates the story like it's preaching, you know what I mean? And then enter this really cool splash page, even though it's a little, it's a little flat because it's just all the yellow. But what I like is right here, the door opens, there's Beachhead, Roadblock, Snake Eyes, Mutt, Hound, Scarlet, and then here's Hawk. And what's neat is right here, Higgins immediately ties the Transformers and the G.I. Joes together because he says, it certainly is a beauty talking about Power Station Alpha, which is a new nuclear power station that can fly and help with the world's energy needs. And then one of these constituents here says, it's all that I imagined and more. Mr. Blackrock will surely be pleased. Now, J.B. Blackrock, when you read the original Marvel Transformers comics, he was kind of like the Tony Stark of that comic book. He was kind of a billionaire philanthropist playboy type. And so I like that they tie them in together. Now, in terms of the Transformer comics, since we had to restart the YouTube channel, I will try to get my Transformer reviews back up because that is such a great read. Now, anyway, you're thinking, oh, wow, this is a lot of reading. But what they're doing is they're introducing the characters and getting their relationship together. Like you notice that Hawk and Senator Larkin really start to get together. I don't know if it's like a friendship or a romance. I can't remember off the top of my head. But she's calling him General Abernathy, and he's calling her Senator Larkin. He's like, call me Hawk, please. Okay, Hawk, as long as you'll drop the Senator and make it Barbara. So you notice they're getting a little chummy, which okay, cool, whatever. And then we jump into the Ark. And Optimus is talking to Bumblebee saying, I need you to go look at this power station and keep an eye out for Decepticon activity. We trust you because you're the type that's very stealthy and we know you can do it. But we noticed that Bumblebee has kind of this real bad, kind of I don't know if it's inferiority complex, but he's just not real confident in himself. Like right here, he goes, "Gee, Optimus, I guess you're right. I won't let you down." And then right here, I like how Herb Trimp just, it looks simplistic, but just how quick, just however the Transformer transformation sounds, but shows the transformation real quick from Autobot to car mode. Really cool stuff. And so Bumblebee's saying he wishes he was more like the aerial bots, so he doesn't be stuck on these mundane missions. And check out how he says, "What a waste of time." And then remember I said keep an eye on these characters because the boy says, "What a waste of time." His name's Anthony. I don't know, she is the mom, but I don't know her first name. She's just known as Ms. Dimitri, I think is what they said. Hang on, let me see if I can find the name. Boop, 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 boop. Yeah, Durante. Durante is her name. So I kind of like how the parallels that Higgins is kind of put in between Bumblebee and this Anthony character. Now, while we got this going on, right here on the next part of the page, here's the Dreadnoughts from the G.I. Joe that are part of Cobra. So you kind of know that there's some shenanigans going on. So Zartan told them to stick around and kind of keep an eye on the power station. But they're loose cannons. So they decide to spring and hatch their own plan. On the power station, as you can see, the action starts, and you're just like, whoa, boy, things are just going down Lester Brown. And this Dreadnought actually, singes Junkyard, and Mutt's like, "You can do what you want to me, but if you harm a hair on Junkyard's hide, I'll skin you alive." So you kind of see his relationship with his Mutt, which, everyone loves their doggy. Beachhead goes to save the VIPs. And then Scarlet and Snake Eyes just jump in and just wham, bam, just like the team that they are. Love it. But a standoff happens, and they're able to get away. And Cobra Commander is furious. He is sick of the Dreadnoks' actions and how it tipped off the G.I. Joes on what they were planning. And the Dreadnoks are run by Zartan, so Zartan's just kind of taking the heat for it. And Cobra Commander is talking about how this power station would have been the paradigm shift that he needed to keep from the Serpentor, which I'm guessing this happened after the G.I. Joe movie where they introduced the Serpentor. I think that's what it is. Let me know down in the comments if I'm wrong. But anyway, Cobra Commander's furious. And then we cut over, and we see that someone else is monitoring the power station, which is... What's it? I was about to say Optimus Prime. So wrong. Megatron. Yeah. And then here's one of the Insecticons. This is a Bombshell and Dirge. He's like, "You guys need to go get this power station because this will give us the edge that we need to take over Cybertron." He's like, "You need to use your Cerebro shells." So again, Bob Budowski, I had to think about the name. He's the one that was writing the Transformer comics at the time, and I like how he always sprinkled little tie-ins of like Spider-Man and the X-Men. And Higgins follows it here with Cerebro shells, just like how Cerebro is used by Professor X, because it's a mind-controlling device. Now, as the Dreadnoughts are escaping the power station, Bumblebee's on his way. And the Dreadnoughts are like, "Why don't we just have some fun on the way?" So they're hitting cars and whatnot. They go to hit Bumblebee, and he transforms his leg and jumps out of the way. And they're just like, this look of shock, like, are my peepers playing tricks, or did that bleeding VW just jump out of the way? It just can't be. So that's really interesting. That kind of becomes a thing. And now Bumblebee's kind of keeping an eye on the power station. And he gets a ticket. Poor guy. And again, he goes, "Oh, the indignity of it all. This would never happen to an aerial bot." So while that happens, Anthony... I'm not going to give away what exactly happens, but something happens, obviously, with the Decepticons and him that causes him to just walk out on the tarmac. Now, Junkyard tries to save him. Bumblebee's like, "I can't let a human be killed, sacrificed. I'm going to let you down, Optimus. I'm sorry," because he transforms right in the middle of everybody to go save this boy. Snake Eyes stops, Power Station Alpha from taking off. And then this is kind of heartbreaking. To me, this is kind of like a Frankenstein moment, because they're like, well, what do we do with this big robot? And Senator Larkin's like, your concern for the station is greatly appreciated, but equally misguided. It's more important that this awesome creation does not fall into the wrong hands. We can't take any chances, even if it means destroying the power station. And then Hawk's just like, you hear the lady. We can sort this all out later. We have no time for a debate. And Bumblebee's like, you don't understand. And they go, ready, aim, and go to your local comic shop and pick up a copy to see what happens to Bumblebee. I know that the cover gives us away, but I don't want to spoil it because it's just really heart-wrenching. So yeah, if you guys have enjoyed this book, please make sure to support your local comic shop and pick up a copy. If not, see if they can't special order it for you. I know it's an old school book. You may get lucky. If not, go online. I found these at a comic convention, and I was just like, yep, mine. So I was just like, thank you, Albuquerque Comic-Con, for having these. Anyway, if you guys have enjoyed this review, we definitely appreciate it if you take a moment to hit like, share, and subscribe. Helps the club channel more than you could possibly know. And if you wouldn't mind hitting that fancy little Autobot bell next to subscribe, that way as we continue to upload content, you guys will get notified. You can come to the channel, and we'd love to have a dialogue and hear your feedback and thoughts down in the comments below, or on our social media pages, which I will make sure to leave the links down in the description below. So with all that said, thank you all so much for stopping by and checking out the review. I hope you all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, true believers.